Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I'm your host Rakesh, and here I am with another video on ReactJs router version 6 part 2. I believe you have seen my previous video. This is the another part of it, so where I will be covering these 5 topics which you see on my screen, right? So let's jump to the demo, guys. Okay, so in previous video I have told you about link. Okay, so link will generate the links for you, like ahref links, right? But whenever you go to some of the pages, right, when you navigate to different pages or sections or component, right, so what happens, you notice here we don't have any kind of active class, and that is one thing you really required when you actually working with websites or web applications, right? You might want to know like which page you are in, you wanted to make it highlight, about us, or home page, right? So there is something called NavLink which we need to import. Okay, so we can import this NavLink from ReactRouter DOM, and we can replace with this. Okay, and what will happen here, the magic happens here. You notice one thing, which is class is active now. Okay, so if you are on about us page, it's automatically giving you the active class, right? So this is the very good feature which you might require, or this is the feature where you wanted to do something with your links, right? So you can come to the documentation, also read about it, right? So one another thing you notice is the param which we receive from the arrow function, which is active. So is active you can use to define more classes to your active links. Okay, if you wanted to say like if my particular link is active, I wanted to add some kind of underline class, so if we can use this directly. Okay, so I have this here already. So now what I need to do here is, if particular link is active, so class name, and I will have this arrow function here, and which has this particular is active parameter. Okay, and you see here I am destructuring, right? So you also need to destructure this, and that's when it is available to use. Okay, so what you can say here is, if it is active, okay, so active and your underline class. Okay, you can directly copy here like that, otherwise you can just do is active plus is active. So instead of this operator, you can just use this one. So you can use template strings and can basically execute that here. Otherwise you can say inactive. Okay, so you can use like this. Otherwise you can also do the other way around, like without even adding this method here. Like this is required when you actually want to do couple of things, like if you don't want it to like if you wanted to keep the class in both case, like if it is inactive or active, right? So that will help you. Like the default way only give you active class, otherwise it removes the active class. So you might have noticed that here. So if I go to this place, you get here inactive class, right? So this is the feature if you want to receive here, and here you just see active class. If I go to post, right, it will remove that class from here. So sometime you required this inactive class whenever you are not on that particular link, right? Great. So I think the nav link is clear to you, and you can try more on that, and just post me comment if you have any kind of questions here. So next is our use routes, right? If you check the documentation, so what you see here, use route is a hook provided by this ReactRouter DOM. Okay, let me increase the font size. Yeah, so this hook will help us to do this job, basically this job what we have done here, right? Like routes and route and everything. So this particular hook use routes will allow us to do this in JavaScript manner, basically the object manner. Okay, and this is the JSX way of doing the routes and route. Okay, so there is a difference, right? So this is the JSX way because we are writing under this return, and this is a JavaScript way. Basically you are using this use route, okay, and creating your element, and that you are returning here as element. Okay, so we can do similarly here, like all our routes we can define outside. So we can say const element. Okay, so you can use routes. Okay, you need to import, yeah, auto imported. Okay, So this route will accept kind of array. So you notice here this is one array. Okay, so this array will have an object and have a multiple objects based on your path. So you notice the this one has couple of things, so because it has children's and everything, right? So but we might not require. So what we can do is like, because our home route is pretty much simple, right? So we can just have this thing here, like we can say path, which path you want, which element you want. Basically it is similar, like which path you want and element you want. So you can just define here path. Okay, you can say slash. If I go on slash element, so pretty much same, right? So even here you have to just define your what you say, components, home. Okay, so you have assigned this here, and definitely you required a comma, so sanitization is required, right? So this is what we want here on our home router. Similarly we want our about us router. Okay, so we can just come out and create one more object inside this particular array. You can just copy this, otherwise you can write if you want, like that's okay, about. And what you can do here is you can use the about route. Okay, so now as we have this thing here, like we can copy this and we can just say elements. Okay, and we'll remove these two. Okay, so if you come back here and see, we still have about us and home routes working, right? Got my point? So now you have mix of both, like you have this user route, right, and you also have your existing route like post route. And you see here we have this nested kind of routes available. So this particular feature also provide that nested thing. You have to define a children, right? So if you are doing something like the children, and inside children again you will have an array of object. Okay, so this array and this carry couple of objects. So similarly we have here, right? So this also we can define here if you want, but I want you to try that and come back here, because you can basically see that here and just convert that to this one. Okay, got my point? Okay, great. So we can move next. So there is something called navigate. So if you are working on ReactJs, so definitely some points you have a condition to check, okay, this user is actually allowed to access this particular page or component, then only I will navigate to that particular component or the page. Okay, so simple example, if you are trying to log into an application, right? So you will add your username and password. If you are actually allowed, or basically if your username and password is valid, then only they will navigate to dashboard. So these kind of conditional navigation if you want in your application, okay, so you can use this navigate. Okay, and also you can read about this more on your ReactJs router documentation. Okay, so navigate element, right, is the way how we write in JSX. Okay, so this is the way we write in JSX. If we have error, okay, otherwise if we have a user, then navigate to this dashboard. Okay, and the another way of doing this navigation is what you see here is useNavigate. Okay, so this is the hook again they have provided. If you find out here useNavigate, so this is the hook. If you have this hook available, so you just need to pass first parameter as wherever you want it to navigate, right? And also you can pass replace true. So basically it will replace the previous history, right? So you can read about it. If you are using replace true, the navigation will replace the current entry in the history. So you understood, right? So if you go back, then you will not go to your like let's say you logged in and you went to the dashboard. If you click back, you will not go to your login. Basically it will replace the recent history or the current history. Okay, so clear on that. So let's use that. So what we can do here, we'll just copy this section. So we can use this. I'm just trying to make it faster, so let me copy this part. Okay, so it remains same. I'll explain you. Okay, so now what is happening here, you have this Okay, so this if you notice here, they have used the class way of doing it, so that should be okay. So export default. Okay, so this is another way how we can actually create the component, but that's okay. Like we need to understand this navigate section. So so what is happening here? If there is a form, okay, there is a form, and there is a navigate, right, and there is a method on submit, right? So what it is checking is if user, like by default it is null on your state. Okay, so if you are checking if something is not null, so you are just checking your rules. You are not going to database and checking your things, right? So you are just checking if username is there, then yes. If it is there, then we get to the dashboard. So in our case it will not be a dashboard. Let's keep home. Okay, so what I'm going to do here in our app, so I will be importing this particular component. Okay, so on slash will import that. So on slash we will be showing our login component, otherwise we'll show our home component. Okay, so I'll replace everywhere it is home, and I'll have one more object which is slash, and which do have this login system. Okay, login form. So on slash we'll have a login form, and if somebody login, then we will navigate to this home section. Okay, looks great. Okay, I think we are pretty much sorted, right? So that's what we have done, because we have used this element instead of those routes. So let's go back and see. Login is not defined. Okay, so I think this is okay. So what they're doing, they did something wrong here. So event.target by login. So what we can do, console.log, we can see what is coming inside our event, and whatever we will type inside this username, and that we will assign it to the state. Okay, so come back here, and if I come back to this route, okay, I have this login form. Let me do br. Okay, so you see the form here, and I can just write something, h4 login to app. Okay, login to app, and we have this username and password thing here. Okay, and on submit, basically if you click on the submit button, and they have missed a couple of things. Input submit. Okay, so you can just remove that. Input submit. So whenever you submit, right, so let's try something, Rakesh, and some password. Okay, you console it. So this is how you can find out, okay, this is returning a form, right? So event.target. Okay, so what will you be getting here is username. Okay, let's see that. If you come back to your slash, okay, so now I'll type something here and click on it. So you have that username input box available here. Okay, so you can just say dot value. Now if you come back, so you also notice if something is coming here, it's not even checking if it is a text or something. You can also make that condition, if user equals Rakesh, then only it will allow. So if I just, now if I come back, okay, so you can create a couple of things. If user is something else, it will not even navigate to that home page. Now if you click, it is not even going anywhere. Okay, so if I say Rakesh and then you hit enter, the problem here is we are not setting that to value. Okay, so because previously we was just setting that target. Okay, so what we can do here is we can replace this section to this section. Okay, so basically this variable we are assigning back to the state. Okay, so the state was still null. Okay, so now if you go back and see and type something else and enter, it will not allow. And Rakesh, if you say, it will allow you to your dashboard. Okay, great. So now if you see what we have here is, if username is this and password is this, so you can also set your state with password. Okay, so if your password is 123, you can also make a condition for that, like you can say password right now you are not storing inside your state. So what you can do, pass, you can say pass and you assign null, so you assign null. Okay, so now this pass also you can pass as a this thing. Okay, pass comma not error, it's still okay, so you can pass here. So what you can do, instead of this one you can pass the password here, target. Okay, so let me remove this console. Okay, so now what we have is we have username and password inside our state. Okay, so what we can do now, we can also make a condition, this one, or like with the bracket and bracket close, and what we can say, if the pass is 123. Okay, so like that you can do. So what we are doing, login pass is not defined. Okay, so what is happening here, we have not destructured this here. Okay, so now we have destructured it, so that's how it is available. So okay, great. So if I say something here, it will not even allow me, but if I say Akesh 123, that's how it will go to the dashboard or your home page. Okay, so pretty much clear. So this is navigate, the JSX way to do navigation between your components or based on your conditional component. Okay, now the another way I said you is use navigate. Okay, this one. So this is a hook provided by ReactJs. So here don't think so, use navigate. Okay, so what I do, so instead of doing this way, what we can do is we can have this condition inside your submit form itself. So now we'll not be doing this condition check here. So previously when this hook was not there, we was bound to use this navigate inside the JSX, because this do not render outside. So we attempt to create another small method which will check this, if it is error, show error, otherwise if it is valid then navigate to particular component. So we was bound to use inside JSX, but now let me comment this out. So what we can do, we can check here itself, we will set your username password. Okay, also what we can do, we can check here use navigate. Okay, if these two are there, okay, I'll just say this, these two. Okay, if okay these two things are here, then please do navigate. Okay, so where do we navigate? So I'll just say this home. Okay, so what you see here, if something is true, then you can just say home. So now go back and see here, you cannot be called in class. See, there is also one issue, so you might run into. So you might think, okay, these hooks we can use in class based component. That is not possible. So you need to convert your component to what you say, the functional component. You need to convert your class based component to the functional component. So what we can do, I'm just telling you. Okay, so let's change this later, otherwise what will happen, you will see error. Okay, so this handle submit we can just copy as it is. So handle submit, so we just need to define like that, const submit, so equals, turn it to arrow function. Okay, so this remains same now. So instead of doing state like that, so we can have our use state, like you know that use state. Okay, so that is imported from React now, const login use state, and you have your default value available, right? And then you can say login comma set login. Okay, this is how we set the login here, and this is how we have this. So do not notice these errors, because right now we are converting and we have couple of errors in the page, so that's okay. But yeah, this is how we are doing the conversion. So now instead of doing this dot set state, what we can do is we can just say this one, like set login, right? So you can just say set login. So set login, and you can pass this object itself here and replace, like basically you just remove this, so automatically it will set, right? Nothing else required here, everything else remains same. Okay, so handle is good. So now we need to have this form down there in our JSX. So let's copy this JSX and move this here. Okay, so this error is anyway available. No, error is not available. So we have this login dot error, right? Login dot. Okay, so similarly I think pretty much that will remove this. So on submit we can directly call this one, so we no need to have this event passing here. So directly you can have this submit passing through. Okay, so I think we are good here, guys, pretty much. So let's copy this and replace our method, and then we are good. Let's comment out all of this. Awesome. So now what we can do, we still have some kind of warning, so we have couple of things. Yeah, okay, so now we have reduced all our errors. So why I'm getting into this, I should have done it because I wanted to show you what kind of error you run into. Okay, and how we can come back. So what you see here, react hook useNavigate is called in a function submit that is neither a react function component nor a custom hook. So if you see, we are still running on the problem, right? So let's go back and see. The problem here is we are using useNavigate directly because it's a hook. So what we need to do first is we need to create a variable, something called navigate. Okay, and we need to just use that navigate instead of this useNavigate. Okay, now if you save and go back, okay, so we still have cannot prevent default, cannot read property of undefined. Okay, so what is happening here, we have to remove these two brackets, basically the execution. So because if you put these brackets, that means you are executing this method as soon as this particular component will load. Okay, so in case of arrow functions we should not do that. Okay, go back, and now we can do similar thing, like we have this Rakesh and all of this. So if you do something else, it will not take you inside. If you say Rakesh and 1 2 3, and that's how you'll go navigate to your home component. Okay, so now you can notice, like we have example of both the cases, like if we have this class based component or whatever case, right? If it is hooks, right, so you have to do this way, like you will be calling this here. If it is your JSX way, you should be calling in here. Okay, and this, even this goes here. If you uncomment this and just comment this section, okay, and save that code, so it will have some kind of problem. So that problem is nothing, like you have to just say login dot yeah. So also you can always destructure your login data. Okay, if you want, like instead of using login dot user and pass, so you can also do that. So now if you go back with your history, and you can say Rakesh 1 2 3. Okay, you're still able to navigate. So depends on your situation, you wanted to use this one or this one, it's up to you. but both the demo is clear. If you have any questions, please do post me the comment on this. Great. So we have the login feature available right now, and then what next? We have use navigate, and navigate is clear. So next is generate path. Okay, so this is sometime it is very important. So if I like fine, okay, I think we have misspelled this generate path. So generate path is very important util we have. So where if you wanted to generate a dynamic path, so you notice here they have generate path imported from ReactRouter. Okay, you can pass your path, okay, the ID, dynamic ID, and the ID you can directly pass it, so that it will generate path for you like that. So let's copy this and quickly come back here on our home page. Okay, so let's keep this clean here. Okay, so what is happening here, if we have this generate path dynamically, so what we can do, generate path, or we can just say generate path. Okay, it import like that, and the first parameter is your this thing post. We had posts, right, and then we had ID. Okay, so post slash IDs we had, and then the ID which we'll receive here. Okay, so this ID which you get, you have to pass as second parameter. Okay, so now if you able to console.log this one. Okay, so what will happen here, so if you come back, if you go post 2, okay, not here, we was on home page. So if you click here, anyway it navigate you to this, but let me take you to the home page. So yeah, so now this path is generated for you, right? So there might be a situation this ID will be coming in from the dynamic way. So what can be that scenario? So let's go to our post component which we have created previously, right? So we can go to posts in our pages, right? So it was under our pages, if you remember our previous yeah, so we have this post. So here we are fetching this param ID, right? So this param ID is what you're fetching from your params. Okay, so what you can do, we can put that here, and this param ID which we receive, right, we can just pass that here dynamically. Okay, so now if you go back, is not defined, that's okay. So we just need to import that here. Okay, generate path, and the issue will be resolved. Now if you go here, clean this up, if you go to any of the post, right, you should be able to generate that path dynamically. So this path, if you wanted to generate, or you wanted to do something like, if this path is 1, so you wanted to do that path plus 2, or like 000 or something like that. Okay, like 000 plus. So if some situations comes, now I definitely ask you to do this. Okay, because this help you to construct your string or whatever manner you want, let's say 000 underscore whatever it is. Okay, now you can notice we have this post slash 000 underscore 1, right? If you go to your post 2, you will be able to get your another ID. So you can do such kind of work. So the first one is very generic. So the second example you see here is your generate path with dynamic kind of values. So what you can do here, you can just console. So I'll explain you. So what is happening here, so what is happening here, you see these files. Okay, you have the type, okay, and you have your star. So basically type is what the param is, right? So type equal to image, and star, whatever comes here, you can say cat. So if you come back here and see to the demo, so what you see, so your type which is image, right? So type can be anything. So you can say, let's say post is my type. Okay, post, and then post1.jpg is my image name, or it can be anything, right? So you can concatenate, like I just said you, right? So you can do anything here, like this will be really helpful when you doing something like dynamic params, or you will be generating something like that. So if you see here, the post1.jpg is my image, right? And what you notice here, like post2.jpg, post1.jpg, right? You see all of that here. So this kind of dynamic URLs, if you want, let's say you want a URL for your image on every post, and that that image name is with the post name, like post1.jpg, post2.jpg. Okay, so if you want something like that, so that's how the generate path will help you to construct that path, okay, in the way you want. Okay, so these are the two simple example which I can think of for you right now. So I think pretty much it on the second part of React Router, and I think we have covered most of it. Like if I talk about the basics of router, I think this is pretty much more than enough for you right now on the ReactJs router. And if you come across any kind of topic you want to understand, please do comment in this video. So if you are here in this video till the end, please do watch previous video, that is very important. And if you have watched these two, and if you come across any kind of topic which is not covered here, please do comment. I will have another video on that. Okay guys, thank you so much. And another video will be coming on the leftover hooks, like use context, okay, context APIs, and also use memo, and there is use callbacks. And these are basically very important hooks which you should understand in ReactJs. Okay, so thank you so much guys for being here on this video, and please learn along and comment over if you want anything from me. So thank you so much guys for watching this video. Please do like and subscribe to my channel. Bye.